My name's Laurence Dusoswa. I've been sim racing for over 25 years. I'm a sim racing streamer and hardware reviewer. And my biggest tip in sim racing is...
Hello and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show and my very special guest, Laurence Dusoswa. Welcome along. It's fantastic to have you on the show. How are you doing this evening?
I'm all good. Feeling all right.
Yes, and you've even brought your cat along there in the background to
This is my co-driver Splat.
Yes.
Or in rally games, she's S Platt because she doesn't really have a surname.
It's lovely though. We very appreciate having a nice pet cat there in the background. But it's been fantastic to get in touch with you, Laurence, and we're so pleased that you've come on the show. I was introduced by Josh Martin from SimStaff about you, and that's when I started following you on YouTube. But the question I always ask my guest is, how did it all begin? What brought you to sim racing? Is it something you started when you were very young, or did it start fairly recently?
So my roots are very much in the simulation side. I was, I think, 5 or 6 years of age, and my dad was already big into computers, and he had a BBC Master System at the time. So this was like pre-Windows and all that. This was I guess Windows might have been a thing, but it wasn't on my radar. This was probably around 1991, 92, and E-Type was a game on the BBC Master System, and it was already a couple of years old. And I liked the game because you got to drive this car. Then I found out there was a hard mode. And the hard mode introduced things like you had to manually shift gears. So you had to press C for the clutch and at the same time press another key to go up a gear and then take off the clutch before you accelerated again. I was like, oh my God, is that how it works in real life? And my dad was like, yeah, because my dad couldn't actually do it in the game. I figured it out. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool that you can do that. So that for me, as far as something that sparked simulation, that for me was, well, how close can you go to the real thing? Because obviously the graphics were, laughable by today's standards. But for me, there was an element of realism, and I was better at it than my dad, who could drive a real car. I was thinking, oh my God, simulation is the way forward. But realistically, simulation as we know it, sim racing, 1998, maybe 1999, I got my first force feedback steering wheel, which was the Microsoft Sidewinder force feedback steering wheel. And that kicked it all off. So games like Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, other stuff like, Midtown Madness, Monster Truck Madness, and those type. The Need for Speed series was pretty big. Need for Speed Porsche Challenge or Porsche 2000 was a really big one as well, because it was difficult. NASCAR, the original NASCAR games as well. I actually found those too difficult because the damage, you had to go and repair your damage, and I couldn't get my head around it. But that level of simulation, while people were still, obviously I did Gran Turismo, Ridge Racer, all of those, and I loved those, but the driving dynamic, the feeling of body roll, having different grip on different tires, the likes of Colin McRae Rally. Colin McRae Rally 2 is probably where I spent most of my rallying time. And just seeing, that feeling, and it's hard to describe. While my friends were playing on consoles, and while Gran Turismo I highly regard as what it taught me the most of what I know, I was able to jump, a Ford Focus or a Ford Escort or whatever, over jumps, and the steering goes light because you're midair, there's no resistance, and then you hit the ground with a thump, and the steering, almost gets ripped out of your hands. I mean, I was only, what was I, 11, 12 years of age. So it felt so realistic, and it was the closest thing in my mind, because I'd never driven a real car. I'd steered it on my dad's lap. But, actually driving a car in anger and being quick was incredible. I was like, how far can we push this thing?
Yeah, that's amazing. So was it on did you have like a steering wheel or anything, or was it just a kind of local controller type thing?
On the PC, yeah. So I had some like earlier steering wheels. I think there was a Thrust, not Thrustmaster, Thrust Logic, I think it was Logic 3 maybe, I think. I had other steering wheels, but some of them were like lap steering wheels and stuff. But
All right.
the Microsoft Sidewinder was a proper clamp to the desk type of thing.
Wow.
With there was the paddle shifters. It was a 2-pedal set, so there was no clutch or anything like that yet. That came much later, but it was proper force feedback. And fun, interesting tidbit: the direct input protocol that we use right now these days for force feedback was actually invented then. And it hasn't changed much since. So force feedback from 1998 isn't, obviously the hardware's gotten much better and all that, and it is better nowadays, but it's not that much different.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I do remember E-Type. I had a BBC B. I couldn't afford the Master though. I think it was a BBC B Plus. And so that was the thing with a green monitor. I wasn't allowed a color one. So so that was as far as we could stretch. But I remember playing E-Type and it would go faster and faster, but I had to use the mouse, I think, to do the steering. And I think it was probably with an automatic. I think the left button accelerated and the right one braked or something, one of the two. What a great game. It's kind of amazing. I mean, I played that in saloon cars. I'm sure it was saloon cars where I had an Astra GTE. That you could kind of soup up, and then I remember when you crashed, if you crashed heavily, it would just could have a big thump, and then it would come across the screen saying "You are dead." You know, and that was it. It was brilliant. You know, but that's amazing that you'd obviously be able in this 1998, you had a steering wheel and pedals, and you were playing the rally games, because that would transform the rally games, as you say, to give you the feel of what it was like. That and what do you think? I mean, obviously games have come on so far. We've got like Dirt Rally 2, WRC, and of course Assetto Corsa Rally. I mean, now do you think we're in a golden age of kind of rally sims at the moment?
I actually think we're further along with circuit racing than we are with rally. Rally is very much kind of finding its feet. We've got some titles that are in ways leading the way, but they're also very difficult to access for the mainstream. The likes of Richard Burns Rally, the likes of BeamNG even, and Assetto Corsa. The rally mods are good, but it's difficult to get into it. Dirt Rally 2 is a huge one. We have a community Dirt Rally 2 league with over 800 people in it. We have an EA WRC league with about 500 people in it. So they're probably the two most accessible ones, and they're the ones I stream on Thursdays.
Yep. Well, once this video goes out, I'll have all your links in the description, so people will be able to watch this and then join the memberships of the communities that you have, because it'd be fantastic to see even more people play it, because it is so hard. I think. But do you find that because at a rally stage you are on your own, in effect, other than your co-driver, you don't really know how other people are driving? I suppose you do have the little stage marker, isn't it? But you don't really know what position you're in until you finish.
I have them turned off. So I do have the progress indicator of like what sector of the stage I'm at, and that will either be red or green. Now we have absolute aliens in our group as well, and I'm never at the top. So when I get a green sector, it does show up there, but I don't have the indicator that shows how many seconds off the lead you are or whatever, because that can be distracting, and it can also be very discouraging, because I don't do rally all the time. I want to be quick with the limited time I spend on it. But if I'm comparing myself to the aliens who spend 8 hours a day on it, then that's completely unrealistic, and it sends the wrong message to the community, I think. And I think it kind of frustrates me as well. I feel in any form of racing, you need to pick a battle, and that battle is ideally someone on track, someone you maybe raced closely with before or whatever. They are your nemesis. If you can't find someone like that, until that moment, it's you. You have to battle against yourself. Eventually, you're going to find someone else who's also battling against himself, and you're going to, all of a sudden, they're going to become your competition. And once you get used to expecting the competition on track, you end up finding it.
No, that's quite a thing. I found, because I've played 2 rally games recently, Dirt Rally 2, both on PC, and then the new Assetto Corsa Rally, which both I have to say I was really impressed with. But I found I did better on Dirt Rally 2, only because the co-driver was giving me better instructions, although the instructions were a little bit closer to where I was. I found on a set of course rally, now maybe I just got it on a standard setup, whatever it kind of starts with, but it was kind of too far ahead. And I was finally getting to that point where I couldn't quite remember what was coming around the corner and where it was going to go. So how do you find, do you have to kind of play around with that? Do you have a particular kind of style of co-pilot instructions that works well for you?
Yeah, I like the early calls. I'm quite used to it. I do, because I stream it, I will often have the little signs that show the corners. I will have them up at the top. Assetto Corsa Rally actually does a good job of showing how far away you are from those calls. Whereas Dirt Rally 2 and EAWRC, they kind of just show the call and then it disappears, but it might be, still a few seconds down the road. I make life extra difficult for myself because I'm streaming, trying to, entertain people and not be, entirely boring. But also my community is an absolute riot. They're great fun. So I can see out of the corner of my eyes, I can see chat message, when I almost hit a tree or when I take a corner really well, I see the messages coming in and I just want to read the chat. So on the straights, I'm trying to read the chat. And they keep telling me not to do that because I have crashed often trying to read the chat. So I make life even more difficult for myself. If I was, truth be told, if I was driving on my own with no stream or whatever, I would be driving in VR. So 100% in VR. So that would probably limit me to Dirt Rally 2. That seems to be the main one for VR. EAWRC's support isn't good. So VR, and I wouldn't have anything on the screen. Absolutely nothing. I would have the co-driver calls. I would love, if you asked about the progression of rally, I would love to have custom notes or to be able to download notes from community contributors would be great, because I love the idea of having a buddy over, having a drink or whatever, and having them do the notes for you. Get them to shout out the notes as you go down the stage with absolutely no sound other than the car and you guys arguing. It's like that to me seems like a hell of a good time. And you just hit restart and try again. And eventually I think you'd get exceptionally good at it, to the point where I think that it could be even interesting from an esports level when it's when it's so dependent on the human variables. The more human variables we can inject into sim racing, I think the closer we will get to it becoming a more of a spectator sport and less of a participator sport.
I think because I know for a lot of us who love motor racing, sim racing has been incredible, and in the last 10 years it's really helped us get a lot more enjoyment out of motor racing, because it can sometimes feel quite far away, especially because just the cost of going to a race, isn't it? It's colossal. Not so much, maybe rallies are a wee bit easier depending where you are, I suppose. But racing is very expensive, and this has allowed us to get closer to the action. So as you say, anything that gives you an experience of actually being there and seeing what it's like and participating is brilliant. But of course, you've gone as well to many of the big shows around the world, the sim racing expos. How did you find that? And when was your first one, and what was it like?
So I haven't missed a sim racing expo in, I'd say, about 4 years now. So I've been to them all. My first kind of taste of an expo was actually Autosport in 2020. I started my channel in August of 2019, and I was one of the first to have a big review for one of the first product Simagic ever did, the Simagic M10, and nobody could get stock. So I actually brought mine to the Digital Motorsport stand at Autosport. And some of the other reviewers from the UK, that's where I met James West, Gamer Muscle, and a couple of other people. They got to use that for the first time. They did video content with my wheelbase, and that's how I got kind of friendly with a lot of those people. Plus Real Drive, because it was the first affordable direct drive wheelbase, so it was at a great time. And I really got a taste for it then, what could be. So I went to the expos at Nürburgring and all the various places over the years. The expos are a huge, a really great place to meet people. And you'd be surprised when you go there, just overhearing conversations and all that. Everybody's a bit like you, in the way you think and stuff. And it feels, I think sim racing, when you're not part of an active community, can be a relatively lonely place, like any hobby, especially online gaming type hobbies. Once you find people, it becomes a lot less lonely. Once you meet those people in real life, or meet people like that in real life, you really feel like what you're doing is quite normal, healthy, and productive, and not much different to people who go to the tennis club, or go to the golf course, or go and do all these other things that we just think are normal. You know, we think grabbing a camera and 20 grand worth of lenses and sitting at a bush at 3 o'clock in the morning, we think that that's normal. But we think that sim racing maybe is a little bit weird because you're in a house in your room and you're pretending to be in a race car, you know? So I think that it normalizes a lot of those things, and that's really fun. I think, you know, when you're already on the inside of sim racing, it's very easy to understand why people love sim racing. But from people from the outside looking in, when they see big events where people are unveiling products and where there's a real expo type atmosphere, and of course, real race car drivers using simulators, that really validates what we're doing, and you know, kind of accelerates the movement that I already subscribed to 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, I think it's great that because it is involving more and more people, and more people are getting, you know, into the communities. I think that's what's quite nice about the big expos, is that then people will they all have a meetup. At a particular expo. I know my friends at the Sim Cafe, they met up at Brands Hatch. I think it was for one of the GT3 races that was on the British GT3 Championship or something like that last year, and they had a great time. And then, so, you know, hundreds of people can end up turning up, and they have a barbecue, and they can talk away, and they can have fun, and you know, it's a lovely way for them to enjoy a race series or something like that, you know, to kind of get them into it. And I suppose rallying is just the same, isn't it? They can meet up at a particular stage and see their heroes kind of race around, and these group A rally cars are the ones that they have now, these incredible cars that they have. They don't only sound great, but they fly through they go so fast through the woods and everything else. I think is it one of your kind of goals, or maybe a hope in the near future, that you might get a chance to drive a modern day rally car?
So it's funny. I have a kind of I don't know, a kind of a weird approach to this, because I have obviously I've been doing simulation for a long time, and in 2011, maybe 2010, 2011, I decided that, well, growing up, it was always, I'd love to have a rally car, but I knew it was very, very dangerous and never really got into it. And then I realized all I really wanted was photos of me going sideways through corners. So I got into drifting, and I bought a drift car and did many, many track days and competitions over the space of about 2.5 years or so. And it very closely aligned to my simulation, and I was able to train for the tracks that I'd never driven before on the simulator, and it was absolutely incredible, to the point where I know what can go wrong in real life because I have so much seat time in a simulator, and I just don't want to pay for that. And I don't pay for that financially. I don't want to pay for that with my health. I have a young family, and I love my life. I love being happy and healthy. And a part of me doesn't want to, jeopardize that as much as I think that if I do, I've gotten lots of offers to drive people's fast cars. I also feel that I need to earn that. So I've driven fast road cars on track days and stuff, but I've gotten offers to drive people's MX-5s, people's Radicals, and other crazy cars as well. I feel like I need to kind of work my way up. At the moment, I'm actively in a league on Tuesdays with RTA Virtual Motorsport in Ireland, where there is a scholarship on offer. And the scholarship, 3 people from the scholarship will be allowed to drive a full round of the Formula V championship in Ireland in a sponsored car. So it's fully funded. You do a full round, which is for me going to be, if I manage to get through, there's very, very stiff competition, but that's going to be a kind of a stepping stone and validation. I feel like whatever I do, I need to kind of earn it. I think the offers that I've gotten from people through the YouTube channel and all that are amazing, but I respect that I'd be driving their life savings, and I want to at least have the experience under my belt in the slower stuff before I start driving the faster stuff.
Yeah, that's a very, very sensible and respectful kind of way of doing it, I think, isn't it? I think it's interesting because as you get older as well and you have a family, it does have an effect on you, isn't it? And that's the lovely thing about sim racing. You can get as close to the action as you can almost anticipate or kind of want to, and then really enjoy it and know that you're pretty safe. At the end of the day, you're not going to injure yourself on your sim rig, really, so it's pretty decent. And I think that is a good for a lot of people who love sim racing but love watching motorsport but not necessarily want to participate in that reality thing. I think some of the younger members probably would love to. That's one of the things I get on my channel, is that they'd love to be a racing driver for real and do all of that, which is a natural thing, I think. And if they've got the youth to be able to do it like that, isn't it? Then and not so much the responsibilities. Then they can push for that kind of thing.
This is how, what I was saying to you earlier about the community sponsoring real life race cars. That's how that came about. We have many people who they've upgraded their rig. They're at a point where their rig is already incredible, but they have money, disposable income that they want to spend on sim racing. Instinctively you could say, well, why don't you go and do some track experiences and all that? But many of those people are like, I'm too old for that. I don't have the talent. I don't have the interest. I'd rather go racing with my buddies, but they still want to spend money on sim racing. So that's how we started sponsoring sim racers who race in real life to help them, get a set of tires or some fuel or whatever. And in some cases, even more, and giving them X review hardware from my channel and stuff. And that's how we built up a great relationship with them. And many of those people have gone on to win silverware, and not even just small competitions. We've sponsored the Formula Ford 1600 champion of 2024, I believe it was.
Wow.
And many other, like we've got someone in GB3. And someone who's looking to get into GB4 this year as well, and an LMP3 car. So it's really interesting how sim racers, especially of a certain age, approach the real life aspect, because not everybody who sim races actually wants to drive. Obviously, if you got the opportunity, you take it, but you'd probably do a parade lap in it and tell your buddies that you drove the car. You're not going to be setting any lap records, Having your community name, something that you've contributed to, on a car that is winning trophies, that's kind of interesting, So that's what we're doing at the moment.
That's brilliant. I think it's a fantastic way to do it. So, how does someone get involved in this kind of community with you? What would be the thing that they would need to do?
So the community is very much from the inside out. You get out what you put in. So it's when it comes to those sponsorships that I just mentioned, we rarely have helped anyone out who's not already actively racing with us or very friendly with core members of the community, because we don't want people coming to us for charity, because obviously we have limited funds, and we want a vested interest. We don't want just someone to take something and leave. But when it comes to like the rally events that we do and our iRacing leagues and all that, it's all through the Discord. The Discord is really where it happens. I don't push the Discord a lot on my content that goes out, my hardware reviews. I do a little bit on the streams because those people are quite invested in chatting to the other people and that. Our Discord grows nice and steadily and organically, and it's a very non-toxic, very friendly place. So it's you get out what you put in.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And you've got some quite big sponsors there as well. I know, or big companies that you mentioned on your channel. That a favourite of mine is SimStaff, with Josh Martin and the team there. How has that had an effect on your community as well? How did you get involved with them?
Yeah, I'm forever telling the community to at least get themselves on the radar of SimStaff, because there are lots of younger people who have lots of spare time are always looking for extra money and aren't aware that they can make money from sim racing. And they're like, oh, well, what do I have to offer? But they've built their rigs. They're helping people set up their force feedback. They're doing all of these things that sim staff specializes in. It's in the name, it's sim staff. And where do you can't go to college to become a sim staff person. You have to have that kind of, I guess, your own time invested, and you have certain qualifications. And depending on those qualifications, sim staff can accept jobs in your area. And for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I've worked with sim staff, and many people in my community have worked with sim staff as well. So I never work with companies, like I never get sponsorship from companies that I don't truly believe in. At times it can be difficult because I try to avoid conflict of interest when it comes to my hardware reviews and stuff. So you'll never see the likes of Simagic or SimiCube or any of those sponsoring my channel, because that has an implicit bias, right? But SimStaff is a great one because there is little or no competition out there in the world. And even if I was sponsored by one of the competition, it doesn't conflict with what I'm trying to achieve. I think it's a super company, really good.
Great ambition by Josh Martin when he started it all, and how he's taken it so far. Now it's great, and when you work for them, they're fantastic. I mean, the big deal, the big events that they do are first class, and they always put on a great show. But no, they are brilliant. Now, going on to I'll go on to the first question that you very kindly introduced the show with. Your biggest tip in 25 years of sim racing, what would that be?
Yeah, it's a little controversial. And it's a little bit left field, considering, even in shot here, there's probably, a cool, at least 10 grand worth of hardware just sitting there. But my tip is, if you can't enjoy sim racing with budget hardware, you can't enjoy sim racing. That would be my thing. It's like, yes, it's great having the hardware. You can enjoy the hardware, but the actual on-track experience, if you can't get the most out of if you think that the hardware is blocking your on-track experience and you're still way off the pace, that's not, obviously at some stage, haptic feedback helps, better force feedback helps, a better brake pedal helps, but you already have to be reaching a limit. So if you're getting to a point where you're quick, but you're spinning out at points where you feel like you shouldn't be spinning out, it's like, okay, maybe hardware can help you there. But if you're way off the pace, your lines are inconsistent and all that stuff, and you're not enjoying being a part of something sim racing, like you're not actively racing with a community or not actively doing weekly races, and your sim rig is sitting in the corner and you're thinking, oh, if I just spend more money, I'll enjoy it more, that's not going to happen. So you need to be able to put in the graft with the more basic hardware, figure out whether you enjoy it or not, and invest accordingly within your means.
That's very, very good, actually, isn't it? You have to be able to enjoy it with the basic stuff, with the budget entry level that you start with, and get the hang of it, get the feel for it, and enjoy it with that. Otherwise, you're just you're never going to enjoy it, no matter how much money you spend. It's just going to cost you more, and you're still going to be in the same position. No, fantastic top tip.
It can be tricky for people who come from real life motorsport into simulation. They feel disconnected. And my analogy for that is, imagine you are an expert in engineering. And you go to a conference for engineering and you are an expert. You are one of the finest engineers in the world, but the whole conference is in France and nobody speaks English. It's like, well, are you still an expert? Yes, of course you are. So what do you need to do? You don't need to learn more engineering. You're already an expert at engineering. So a real race car driver doesn't need to get faster to sim race. They need to learn to sim race. So the engineer needs to learn French, and all of a sudden they're an expert again. You need to learn the sim racing, which means turning on the PC, plugging in USB cables. That's all part of it. The same way, smelling fuel and changing wheels, that's part of real racing that we don't do in sim racing. You need to be able to translate your skills and you will become an expert again. And the people who are successful in both have learned those two languages, for want of a better term. They understand both languages, the similarities between them, and they are very good translators of the skills.
That's fantastic. That is really good. Lots of great detail, and I think that will really help people put sim racing in perspective of how to go forward with it. No, thank you very, very much for that. Very much appreciate it. And very quickly, as we've been going for half an hour already, but you are an author, I see there, and I have seen your book. In fact, you even went to an expo and to sell copies of your book. I remember seeing a video clip of that. Tell us quickly about the book. How did that all come about?
I actually have a copy of it here. It's a children's book, and it's called S is for Sim Racing. I started because I have hardware lying about the place, and my kids, especially as they were younger, they were asking, what's this, what's that? And I realized that you can't explain sim racing to anyone, not just children. You can't explain sim racing to anyone without using more words that they don't understand that are only used in sim racing. So little things like, here's a page. E is for elastomer, F is for force feedback, and each one of them has a little bit of a story as well. So brilliant. The colors, the letters, they, it's one thing reading to your kids, but it's especially for men, and sim racing is a male-dominated thing. When we read to our kids, it's difficult for us to become passionate about, the Three Little Pigs. And especially when the kids start asking clever questions like, why didn't they just throw a brick through the window and get the pigs? Why did he have to go down the chimney? And it's like, you can't change the words of the, you can't change the story. Whereas this is, this is our reality. And your tone of voice as a parent who loves a hobby, so it doesn't have to be sim racing, your tone of voice is different, and your kids need to hear that passion. They need to be able to extract that information out of you. And they don't have to love your hobby, but they have to understand why you love it, because it's important for them to find that love for things as well. So that's where it came from. I was going to just print one, and then people in my community were like, oh, I'll have a copy. So I started looking at how much does it cost to print like 50 copies. And then turns out that printing 50 copies is actually not that much different to printing 1,000 copies. So before I knew it, I had a charity partner in Make-A-Wish International, and 10% of all book sales goes to Make-A-Wish International, and I am a published author with an ISBN number and everything, and it's kind of spiraled out of control. It was a COVID project that went completely haywire. So oh,
that's fantastic. No, that's really, really good. I love the creativity, and to from everything that you do, from all the reviews and the sim racing and the rallying and so on, and then now a book as well, which really goes into it for children, which is fantastic. And you're kind of defying the curve, because nowadays, with everyone wanting everything on media, on television, on social media, but you've been able to put that in a book and actually get that to work, and make that kind of interactive, as you say, with the father son or father daughter, whatever it might be, reading it to your children is a great thing to when you're especially when your children show an interest in a particular type of book or a particular type of story. But if they can be interested in sim racing as well, and many of them are, because they love games and things, then what a fantastic idea. Well, I hope it goes on to do well. It's you certainly deserve it, Laurence. I think that's a fantastic idea, and the fact you've put it there into production, and has it sold relatively well? Are you getting some? Is it on Amazon and things like that?
I haven't even put it on Amazon yet, but I've sold over 500 copies. So I'm like, I'm completely amazed that it's gotten that far. I've not even done a video on it on my YouTube channel. It's all been fairly organic. There are some resellers around the world that have bought books to resell, and that. It's not. I guess the whole channel isn't a money-making exercise for me. It's great. Yeah. It's great that it makes money and is sustainable. It makes more money than it needs, and I get to do silly things. So traveling to expos, sponsoring race cars, spending thousands making a book that I didn't know was going to sell at all, and risking that. That for me is, I have a day job. I work 9 to 5 in a tech company. So doing the YouTube stuff and the sim racing stuff is a little bit of an escape and an alternative reality for me. The fact that it makes money, people are enjoying it, and it's offering something that most communities don't have. And I don't depend on the money for paying my bills or whatever. I get to do silly things. And when a subscriber donates some money and says, go have a meal with your family, I can actually go and have a meal with my family with that money. I don't need it to keep the lights on or whatever. That's an incredible feeling of freedom and privilege. It's very humbling, and I don't take it lightly. And every day, not that my main job is obviously stressful and high responsibility, but I'm pretty sure that if that all went to pot, the sim racing would more than be a safety net for me, and that is an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And well, that's the thing. Well, what we'll do, we'll make sure that all the links are in the description for all of your community and your sponsorships and everything that you sell, all your merchandise and your website, so people can get access to everything. And I will put your details as well on the video when it all gets edited too, so they'll be able to see it live on screen along with the Hatrick show, which you can see moving underneath our pictures here. But Laurence, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on the show. I really appreciate you putting time aside. I know you're a very busy man with lots of work and lots of YouTube community work that you do as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. So thank you so much for coming on. We have our motto here on the show. It is, of course, drive fast, don't crash. And I'm sure that is exactly what you'll be doing over the next few years. And you are welcome to come back on the show and give us details as to how things have grown, the new things that you're doing. It'd be lovely to keep in touch with you. And I will try and join one of your communities and try and do a rally event with you, because I have to say I've really enjoyed getting on dirt rally and things like that and being able to have a go. I think it's unique and it's great fun now being able to drive these cars and just seeing how slow I am. But at least it's quite fun. If you avoid crashes, it's not too bad. And when I saw you doing the Colin McRae last week, when you're doing that stage in the woods with those horrendous timbers that were piles of timbers, and you were hearing through past them, I thought, oh, good gracious, that is quite a thing. But thank you so much for coming on the show. And is there anything you would like to say in the end for your community?
No, I mean, anybody who supports by watching the content and commenting, I would recommend do the same on this video. Leave a comment below, even if it's just thanks for the video or anything. You have no idea how much that actually helps, because even the channels that make lots and lots of money, they need that, because if YouTube isn't showing the videos to people, then they're never going to click it, right? They're not going to go looking for, I wonder what new videos so-and-so has brought out. It needs to be suggested to them. And if you found any of it interesting, if you have any ideas for me or for Hugh or whatever, just comment below. That's what makes our world go around. That's all I have to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, because we're aiming to get monetized. Hopefully by the middle of this year, we'll be monetized and ready to go. But thank you so much, Laurence. It's been absolutely fantastic. Stay on the line as we close the show. But to everyone watching, it's the Hugh Hatrick Show with a very, very special guest. It is Laurence Dusoswa. Thank you so much. I hope I pronounced that properly. I was trying to. But thank you very, very much indeed. And thanks to everyone who's been watching. Bye just now.